Savvy Business Radio, home to over 500,000 listeners per month, and runs in syndication on 8 AM/FM stations nationwide, including iHeartRadio and 6 podcasting platforms. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or to become a guest and find out how we can help you get your message out in a bigger way, call 732-474-7375 or email Christina at savvybusinessradio.com.
Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. This is your host, Christina Nichman. We're joined today by Nicole Roberts-Jones, CEO of Fierce Factor Lab, and works with entrepreneurs to develop income with impact. She does this using her Fierce formula that gives entrepreneurs the tools to build products and services that effectively meet the needs of their clients. To find out more, visit NicoleRobertsJones.com. Our second guest is Karma Ambassador Darlene Tipton, aka Karma Dar. She is the co-creator with her husband of AmazingKarma.com, a website and mobile app designed to help people reward acts of kindness, courtesy, and honesty, and expose acts of unkindness, discourtesy, and dishonesty. Find out more at AmazingKarma.com. Hi, Nicole. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Christina. I'm excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you today. I was very happy that Jennifer could connect us because you're going to show our audience how to get paid from doing what they love most and what they're awesome at. And who doesn't want to get paid doing what they're awesome at? Right. So before we go there, share a little bit about your business and how you came to helping people with Fierce Factor Lab. How did that all come about?
So, I got to tell you, I came upon being a business owner on an accident. Mm-hmm. I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. And really, this journey for me started 23 years ago when I worked in the entertainment industry. And, I was really, really, really successful. I was living the dream job. At the time, I was working for the #1 television show on Fox, going to all the hot Hollywood parties, bumping elbows with all the stars, right? But one day I woke up and realized I was living a nightmare.
Whoa.
And I only say that, Christina, because what I realized, although, again, I look really successful, I was doing this job that so many people want to do, but I really woke up to the fact that I didn't know my own soul. Mm. And so that is, in essence, it's a much longer story than that, but to make a really long story short, what I realized is I had been living by other people's perception. And, for your listeners, whether you're living by perception or you're really, really, really successful, but you want more, and you feel guilty because you want more. And that, you could be living, you live the quote unquote ideal life. You have the 2.5 kids and the big car and big house and the nice car, but you still in the rumble of your belly, you desire more. Mm-hmm. That's your purpose speaking to you. And in that moment for me in 1993, that was, that rumble, that nightmare, that wake up call for me was my purpose saying, Nicole, there's so much more for you. Mm-hmm. So that's how I set out on this journey to find my own Fierce, which is why I call my company that. And I'm sure I'll tell you that more about what Fierce is and on the way. But yeah, that's really how I set out to do this. And now my ultimate goal, Christina, is that every woman that I have the blessing to work with, to coach, to really help them not only understand what their gift, their purpose is, but to really monetize it. And so many women that come to me are already successful business owners, but what most people don't tell you, what I should say, billionaires with a B, what billionaires don't tell us is that they have multiple streams of income. Yeah. So the goal is to help you create multiple streams of income from what you already know.
The low-hanging fruit that's already there, your greatest gifts and talents.
Yes. And there's so much more that's there that you can't see, but guess what? That's my gift. Invest in you. So I got you. I got all of you that are saying that I need that. Yeah, that's what I do.
And that is so important, Nicole, because honestly, when you say there's a lot of your clients who are already successful, but there's something inside of them, that rumble that says there's more. And sometimes more is not necessarily cash in the bank, because myself, I was making good money, but it was that, I was good at what I was doing? So people looked at me and said, hey, you got a really corporate, high-powered corporate job. It's the shabam. You're making good money. But I think that Rumble is that voice of God saying, I put you here for a greater purpose, and it's much deeper, and you can affect the world with your gifts and talents in a much deeper way than you're doing right now.
Right. And I always say, whether I'm on a show like this or on a stage somewhere or working one-on-one with a client, see, if money has no meaning, then you don't ever feel fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And when I say meaning, think about how we use our money, whether you're paying for your child to go to college, whether you are paying off your parents' mortgage, whether you are paying for a village in Haiti, whatever that might be for you. When you make money, just think of all the ways that you can bless people. Of course, you bless yourself. You know, you always gift yourself, but I'm talking about the ways that your money makes a difference and makes meaning. And so really for me, it's looking at what is, and I call it your assignment. I believe we each were born to this world with an assignment. Like we all came here as, dare I say, a 007 agent, like Jasmine Bond, right? Jasmine, not James, but Jasmine, ladies. So really, you know, when I think about my own journey, and I'm sure, Christina, you can attest to this, if you think about it long enough, the thing you're really great at, you've been doing it all your life. Mm-hmm. When I was 3, I was the kid that had the baby carriage. That I didn't have a baby in my baby carriage. Matter of fact, I have a picture in one of my books of me pushing a baby carriage with books and papers and things other than a baby in that carriage. Because I'm a natural producer, I've always been this way. And then even to take that conversation a step further, being school-aged and playing in the neighborhood with my friends, I was a kid that set up the whole scene before we started playing. I could see, okay, Christina, you're really great at pulling people together. So you're going to be like the grand poobah of this crime, the syndicate. You know, at 5, I'm really thinking like this. And so-and-so, you're going to be Wonder Woman. And so-and-so, you're going to be Batman. And you'll be Robin. Okay, Christina, you rob the bank. You know, that's where I've always been, where and my friends would go, really? Yeah. And then I'd make our costumes. I could see everything end to end and what each of us should do and be. And that's exactly what I do now. So nothing's changed. It's just that I've learned how that very gift is the answer to somebody's problem. And every day, whether it's you, Christina, or any of you that can hear my voice, every day that you don't stand in the full power of that gift, that brilliance, that knowledge in you, you're late for work.
Wow, that is intense, Nicole. How do you help people though when they come to you and they say, okay, I know I'm good at something, but what is it that's my great purpose? I don't know what it is. How do you help them find that?
So I'll tell you, you know, typically when anybody comes to me, they're in one of 3 categories. I call it being the AVP of your industry. Mm-hmm. So, you know, of course, we just finished, there's always, whether it's Olympics, whether it's Emmy Awards, Grammys, there's always some award, something going on out there. And I thought, well, hey, how come there's no award for an entrepreneur? So I came up with this whole concept of an AVP award. So I am going to answer your question. So first, the A of AVP is understanding your authority. But first, it's really looking at what is that gift in you. And this is where I'm going to explain to you guys what Fierce is, because my company is called Fierce Factor Lab for a reason. So hopefully each of you that can hear my voice know who Beyonce is. And if you don't, then I'm wondering where you've been the last 15, 20 years. But anyway, Beyonce, when she's standing on stage, she calls herself Sasha Fierce, right? See, when Beyonce is standing on stage, she's standing in the full activation of her gift. She's not 5% of who she was born to be. She's not 10%. She is, matter of fact, she's more than 100%. Sometimes she gets to be 150% of the woman she was born to be. So here's the thing I want you to understand about your very own authority. Sure, we're not all not meant to be on the stage like Beyonce is, but we all have our own platform that we're meant to be on when we stand in the full activation of the woman we were born to be. So one is fully understanding what is that thing in you that you just are natural at. Now, of course, we've got to grow it. We've got to know it, and then we've got to grow it. So again, how do you, and then you've got to stand fully, confident in it. Know it, grow it, and get confident in it. And oftentimes being confident in it is really understanding the next piece to your authority is understanding that you are the solution to somebody's problem, that gift in you. And so that's really the A of AVP. So when someone's coming to me, depending on where you are, and some people, I'm going to tell you, I've worked with people that have already had a successful business, but they're not really, they've hit like a plateau and they're not making money anymore. Well, that's because usually they've started their business looking at somebody else's authority. And so, or like what I like to say, looking at the grass, that saying, the grass is always green on the other side. So your grass will only be green for a little bit of time when you are following someone else's blueprint. But when you understand your own DNA, and when I say DNA, that's your distinct natural ability, then your business, we can build, I'll get to that, that's the P, but let me tell you the V first. So once you understand your authority, understand what your gift is, understand how, well, let me just say it this way, there are 4 P's to really understand your authority. The first is, what are you passionate about? So those of you that might be listening that aren't sure, then answer these 3 questions. What do you absolutely love doing? You could do it and never feel like you're working. So what do you love to do? The second P is, what are you proficient in? What's your skill? What are you really, really great at? So one is, what do you love and what are you great at? Now I got to tell you, I love to shop. And I'm very transparent. So I'm going to tell you guys, before I started in this journey, in the midst of me being dazed and confused in entertainment, I thought, well, maybe I'm meant to shop for people. What I realized in that moment for myself over 20 years ago is that I am good shopping, but I'm good shopping for me. I'm not good. That's not a skill I can do for somebody else. I did try and I was horrible at it. So you got to know, what do you love and what are you really great at? And then the third one is, what problem does it solve? See, somebody out there needs that gift in you, literally. And if you can understand who that exact person is, like for me, it's a woman entrepreneur. As a woman entrepreneur that's been in business for 5 years, that's my ideal client. Doesn't mean 5 to 10 that has hit a plateau and is not making a profit she knows she's meant to make, or she's not really doing the things she knows she's meant to do. That is my ideal client. Now, does it mean I don't work with men? No, I have a few men. Does that mean I don't work with women outside of entrepreneurs? No, but my ideal client is a woman entrepreneur. What problem do I solve? I help her make money from what she already knows, period. Make money or start to make money, right? So anyway, so that's the A. I'll go on. And Christina, I talk.
Well, what I'm loving about this is, I know when I first got started with business, I took with what I did in corporate and brought it into a business. Wasn't very successful at it. Didn't really like it. I'm good at it, but didn't really love it and was not successful at it. But my mentor asked me a very important question. Again, like you, what do you love doing that you could lose track of time at, that you just, it's so natural? And I was like, I don't know. I like hanging with friends and talking and walking with my dog. And nothing seemed to pop out at me. But what was good about her asking the questions and me starting to answer them, it was the start of me starting to go deeper. I mean, sometimes it's not a one-day solution. It's not like you'll sit down, oh, okay, there's my purpose. Okay, we're done. It was, for me, a journey to discovering my purpose. And then the day I found out about podcasting or broadcasting, my friend was on a radio show. And she was being interviewed. And in the midst of hearing her being interviewed, something screamed inside of me and said, that is what you need to be doing. And I was just like, nah, no, not that. My mentor kind of pushed me and said, no, try it out. See what happens. There's nothing can hurt to just try it out. And lo and behold, she was right, and the voice inside of me was definitely right. It is my greatest passion. Now, the key you mentioned at the end is, how do you take the passion that you have and find where it can help someone in great need?
Right.
And how do you help them do that?
Now, I got to tell you, the first thing, just for those of you that are listening, because you just made me think of something. For those of you that are listening, I love that you said you couldn't figure it out. It took you a minute, and sometimes it does. So if you're someone that's been looking and you haven't found it, just know there's nothing wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
Here's what we all do. We discount our brilliance because it's easy. And because it's easy to us, we think, oh, everybody can do it, right? And it's your brilliance, not mine. So, Christina, what you're great at, I probably suck at it. Because it's not my brilliance, it's Christina's, right? And the same for all of you. So here's what I want to give you a little homework for anyone that's stuck in this. Go ask 5 people. Now, don't go ask your mom, because your mom loves you. She's going to say something that's really good, or your auntie or your grandmother. Those kind of folk will tell you the good stuff, right? You want to ask people that either work with you or the people that call you all the time that ask for that thing that you think it might be. Call them and ask them, what is it that I'm really great at? But even you can dare ask your boss. Don't tell them why you're asking. Those of you that might still be in a 9 to 5, right? But really, it's there, and you don't see it because it's easy. You know, sometimes I tell women that it's the difference between a Toyota and a Bentley. Mm. Now, a Toyota is always on. You know, we always see a commercial on Toyota on TV going on sales, a Labor Day weekend sales, a Memorial Day weekend sale. It's, you know, there's always some kind of super sale on a Toyota. A Bentley never goes on sale. Matter of fact, they don't even have commercials for Bentleys, right? At least I haven't seen one. Uh-huh. And so what often we do is we walk around thinking we're a Toyota Camry because we don't know our own value, our own worth. We don't see the greatness and how we can monetize it. And that's where someone like me comes in, where I show you the bandwidth by which you take your knowledge and package it. So the question you ask is, how do I help them monetize it? I'm going to explain it when I get to P. But really quickly, let me tell you, there's A, V, and P, right? I just want to make sure I go all through all of it, because some of you guys, this is the exact thing, breakthrough you needed in your business. I want to make sure I give all of it to you. So one is really understanding your authority and standing in it confidently. The second of my AVP, V, is building visibility around it. So it doesn't matter if you have all this knowledge, this authority, this greatness, this yummy brilliance in you, if nobody knows about it. Mm. And so you've got to do what I call build a content marketing empire. That's why I love shows like this, because most of you are meeting me for the first time. This is me building my visibility. That's what Christina does for people, right? So my question to you is, what will you do to get in front of your ideal client so that they know you exist and that you are the answer that they're looking for? So there's all kind of different ways to do it, whether it's writing a book, whether it's getting in social media. And I love seeing people on Periscope and posting on Facebook, and there's no strategy. And they wonder why, well, I'm on Facebook. Yeah, but you're not talking about anything that has to do with your authority. Nowhere, no how. Mm-hmm. So there's strategy around it. It's not just being in these platforms, but it's really building the visibility to lead them to the result that they are looking for. And the third thing, so I can answer your question, is building a platform from it. So again, your A is your authority and understanding it, growing it, owning it, right? The second thing is building visibility and allowing your ideal client to see you, whether that's as a speaker, an author, any kind of way, whether that's doing a blog and being in social media. And by the way, it's not just one of those things. It's a mix of those things and finding the mix that's right for you. Platform, developing a platform. So really it's around creating multiple revenue streams. So when people come to you, they're going to come to you and either be able to afford you at the highest level of a program we would create. And here's the thing you guys have to understand. When I'm working with you, I don't do a cookie cutter. We look at who your ideal client is and what's the best way that we would work with that group. I'm going to say her because my ideal clients are her. So if I ever say her, you guys understand I'm not leaving out the hymns that you might work with, but my ideal clients are her. So I'm a little jaded by my own conversation. But when I'm working with you, I'm looking at what's the best way for them to work with you. Is that a group program? Is that an online program? Is that a one-on-one program? But somehow you're going to need to have all three. Somehow you're going to need to have more than those three. So that wherever that person comes to you, whatever way they learn best, you aren't leaving any money on the table. So it's really looking at taking that knowledge. And I'll tell you, I work with infopreneurs, coaches. And I got to tell you, the thing I love about coaches, Christina, and this has happened to me, you guys, for years, is when you become a coach and you're so excited, you're coaching people one-on-one. Well, you only have so many hours in a day. So that means I can only see so many clients and I cap out at how much money I can make. But if I can put what I do into an online program, matter of fact, while I'm talking to you right now, Christina, somebody's watching one of my videos and I'm training them and I'm not present. Somebody in London. Matter of fact, I have a client that emailed me from Singapore that I didn't even know I had, that obviously speaks English and is writing and listening to one of my online modules. So it really is looking at how do we package your brilliance into every possible way you can serve the world so that you touch more people, you spend less energy, of course you make more money, but ultimately it's really helping all the people you were born to help so that, again, that money you make has meaning.
And I like what you said before about really getting out there so that people know you exist. They can't know your great gift and talent if you're not out there in the world living it, letting people see it. And that reminds me, I don't know if you know Fabian Fredrickson, she's a marketer, and she made me laugh in one of her stories. She said, early on, when I was trying to get myself known, get people know who I am and what my brilliance was, I just went to every single networking event you can imagine, marketing otherwise, I was there. And anywhere people went, oh, there she is again. she became known as that's the marketing person. Yeah, she's the one to help us, because everywhere that they went, and no matter what it was, they saw her on TV, they saw her on radio. Yep. They said, you're everywhere. And it's because she was inundating, really getting out there for her target market to see her and know her and get to trust her, building a relationship with her. And I think that's an important thing we can touch on, is that I didn't realize this when I got started, that really building the clientele or the people that will need and get most value from your great passion, they have to get to know you. And that's not a one-day event. That's a lifetime journey. That's really building the essence of a deep relationship with people.
Right. And what I like to say about that, I'm a storyteller, so I always have some kind of story to tell around that. I won't bore you with a story, but let me just say it to you this way. Mm-hmm. When I started dating my husband, if he would have brought my ring to our first date, I would have thought he lost his mind.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But that's what we do as entrepreneurs. When people come to us the first time and we're offering them a program, it's like, I don't know you and you don't know me. Can I court you for a little while? Can we date to make sure we're a good fit? And so you've got to, in that visibility plan, part of that is allowing people to court you. So the more you're visible, and I love that story about that you just told. Mm-hmm. And literally, you guys, you've got to be in the front of the right people, though. So you could be going to every single networking event, but your ideal client's not there. So it's a waste of your time.
Yeah, that's the key point.
So you've got to get in front of the right people. Just like when I was dating my husband, I knew he was kind of right on paper. Right. But I still he had to court me. Now, I'm not a one night stand kind of woman. So I knew that it was going to take a minute for me to see the value that he was bringing to our relationship. Just like when someone is looking at you as a potential coach, as a potential business that they're going to say yes to, they're going to court your business for a while to make sure you're a good fit. Now, if you come highly recommended, or I've seen this happen to me, by the way, sometimes, and doesn't happen often, you guys, so we can't build a business on this, but this does happen. I'll be at an event and a woman will say, oh my God, you said the exact thing that I know I need, the exact way I just prayed about it yesterday, or the exact way I wrote it on my list of things to do. You said the exact word. So when that happens, usually they do say yes to me the first day. Yeah. But that's probably 1% to 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's very not common. I mean, it's happened to me a couple of times. Usually it's referrals for me where they'll say, oh my gosh, I had the best time ever. I did this advertising or this marketing thing with Savvy and it just blew my business out of the park. You got to go on their show. And they call me up and like, can I please come on? I'll pay you whatever you want. I was like, gosh, I wish all my clients were like that. But so now for anyone who's out there and they're starting to build, and you mentioned before, there are some people who come to you, they have their brilliance, they know what it is, and they've built some money, but they're not keeping it rolling in. The momentum isn't going. And you mentioned that it's important to have several streams of income. How do you get someone on target to have a strategy where not only are they having momentum going, but they're having several streams of income coming in?
Well, what I love about that conversation is, we often, I'll say me, I won't say we. When I was growing my business and I was going to all these workshops, they were telling me that I had to have a funnel, how you have to have a funnel to bring clients in and then they go out. Mm-hmm. Now, recently, one of my mentors was teaching me about this new way of being in your business where it's a circular model. Once someone comes into you and they work with you, they build a relationship with you, they want to stay with you. So how you really begin to look at how you build an empire around your knowledge, right, is looking at what's their next. And instead of saying, well, you should go work with so-and-so over there, how about you bring so-and-so over there into your business and you start having affiliate partners that can teach inside of your own business. So in essence, you're keeping your people that love you in, and it's helping you build another stream of income. So let me give you a more concrete example. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I know a lot of my clients need is more visibility around media, not something I teach, but I have a great coach that I know that teaches people how to get on media. So instead of me saying, oh, go over there and work with her, I bring her into my camp and we do a mastermind together. So that brings another stream of income into Fierce Factor Lab. So it really is looking at what are some of the next things? Because you guys know when someone finishes working with you, no matter what that is, they're going to have a next. Mm-hmm. Now, how do you bring that next into your company? That's one of the things I strategize with my clients about. And sometimes you might not know if you're just starting out and we're doing your first group program and you've been one-on-one coaching and you've never thought about this before. No worries. I give you an assessment. So what you're always looking. People are always talking. Mm-hmm. No matter where you go, your ideal client is always talking. My question to you is, are you listening? Because they're telling you what they need and they tell you the exact way they need it. So instead of you saying, oh, well, go over there and get it, how about you develop it in your company and allow them to stay on your campus and get it from you?
Wow, I love that. And that recalls for me, because I was doing live events starting 3 or 4 years ago, and some of them really liked it. And they said, I'd like to have people come to future ones. And I said, how about this? We have another live event. You bring any sponsors to the event that we have. You get 50% of whatever you bring our way that we close. And that is one way that we've kept people that just love Savvy on board and being big fans of us and getting people to come on over to our camp is being, I never see it as an affiliate, but that's exactly what they are. They're helping build our base and at the same time also reaping the rewards of it as well.
Well, here's the thing. Here's a way to make that even more lucrative. So if that person that called you, let's call her Tracy, just so I don't confuse people when I'm telling this story, right? I don't know. Tracy, right? First name I thought of. So what if Tracy said, hey, listen, I love what you're doing and my people need you. Can you come over here in my camp and I do my own event and you and I co-facilitate and I'm going to offer a program at that event that you're in. So that stays in her campus, because what happens is when she says, oh, I'm going to refer people over to you, she loses them. Now they're going to fall in love with you and stay with you.
Ah, yes, I see what you're saying. Yes. And we've done 1 or 2 of those. And that's a great way for both of you to both build your camps. If your camps are the same. Now, that's another thing you mentioned before. When you're new out there and you're going to want to get your talent out there and get people to know who you are, you got to be in front of the right people. And that goes to say, if you're going to connect with someone and do a dual event, make sure that person, both of you have the same target market. So you're not pulling, both sides are going, who are you again? It doesn't really match me. Yeah.
And then for those of you that are saying, well, how do you find those people? Because I know somebody's asking that, right? It's in masterminds. Every single affiliate that I has been in a mastermind program with me. And I didn't go to the mastermind looking for them to be my affiliate. But then when I'm in my business and someone like, for instance, I am attracting a lot of corporate women. Corporations are not necessarily my expertise, right? Well, I have a great, actually, she's my accountability partner, to be honest with you. Met her in a mastermind. I talk to her every other week. Her expertise is corporations. We were just laughing yesterday. I was on my way to meet with a corporation because I'm getting more corporations coming to me, really looking at how purpose links with performance. And I called her like, oh my God, I'm going to meet with this huge, I'm trying not to say people's names, huge organization here in Massachusetts where I live. And I was like, oh my God, let me run this past you. And so we were laughing because she said, it's funny. She's now working with entrepreneurs and I'm working now. I haven't left entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are my bread and butter. Those are my girls. I love them. But when you see another need emerge, you'd be stupid to leave money on the table. So the reason I'm sharing that with you is this. Here's what I want you to get out of this. When they ask me to coach, I do not coach corporate people. I ain't going to even try because it doesn't fit. It's not my passion and I'm not good at it. And I'm clear. What I do is have the meeting and then I assign my partner to coach them because that's her gift. And what they do is pay me and I pay her. And she and I have an affiliate agreement. So I'm not leaving money on the table in my company instead of just saying, oh, I know who you should work with. Okay, yeah. You should work with my corporate attraction coach. That's exactly what I call her. And I farm them to her through my company. So again, and I met her at a mastermind. So my purpose in sharing that is when you come to communities like mine, like Christina's, like, different organizations and conferences that you go to, you meet people. Especially when you are in group programs with people and you're in programs with people over time, you get to see who they be. And I mean to say be, because you're talking about more than who they are. It's their being. You want them to have what I call fingerprint. Because your brand has a pulse, a fingerprint, and you want to make sure that person is in alignment with what you stand for before you ask that. And you only get to know those people when you're in programs. And so every single one of my affiliates, every single one is someone that I met in a mastermind program.
Wow. And what's great about that is that now you've built an alliance, which is so powerful. And I had someone on last year who talked deeply about the importance of alliances. And what I noticed early on when I started going out to networking events is business owners were, as you said, trying to marry their new clients right off the bat. It's like, hey, I bought my products. It's wonderful. it could totally change your life. It's like, dude, can I get to know you first?
Right.
But on top of that, they would really get very fierce and competitive with other entrepreneurs who were doing the same thing as themselves. Mm-hmm. And now, after I think I've been in business now 4.5 years, I begin to see the brilliance of community, and that really it's not built by one person alone conquering the universe of marketing or whatever it might be. It's really coming together in community with others and with your own unique gift in something, and with other people's unique gifts in something, and all bringing your brilliance to the world. It doesn't have to be, okay, I'm a coach, you're a coach, so we're in competition.
We're not. And, I love you brought that up, because so many people say to me, how do I compete with us in a sea of other entrepreneurs that are doing the same thing I'm doing? Now, what's interesting is people become doctors and they never say, well, how do I compete with another OBGYN that's doing what I do? I never hear a doctor say that, right? Mm-hmm. So what you got to understand is that fingerprint I just talked about with you, when people meet you, if there'll be something about you, they just naturally say, there's something about Nicole that just resonates with me, and so she's a better fit than this other person that does the exact same thing I do. Not because I'm better, but my fingerprint is different. My DNA, my distinct natural ability, and the way that I do me is different. And so you've got to understand, people will come to you and resonate with you. So you can have your best buddy, you guys can hang out together, you can do the same thing, but somebody's just going to automatically, just like, dare I say, since I use dating, I remember I used to go out back in the day with my girls, and men would just naturally navigate to one of us. The same thing that happens with clients is they meet you and they think, okay, this is my type of person. It's something about her naturally just fits with me. And they'll say yes to you. So you never have to worry about competition. There is no competition when you're standing in the full power of who you are.
That is brilliant. And this has been such a wonderful conversation, but I don't want us to leave without you letting everyone know where they can find out more about you and work with you. Let them know that.
So first, I'm going to give you guys a free gift. So grab your pen. So I want to give you the 4 steps you need to bankroll your brilliance. It's a video series. So go to bankrollyourbrilliance.com and you opt in, and then you'll get the video and the handout that goes with it. Again, it's bankrollyourbrilliance.com. So, and then you'll be in my email list. And guess what? You guys will get emails from me. If you just want to learn more information about me, you can go to NicoleRobertsJones.com. And I look forward to having the opportunity to serve many of you and really helping you up-level the way you serve the world and to get to that abundance with your name on it.
Wow. Oh, girl, you kicked butt. I'm so grateful that you came out here to share your brilliance today with our audience and your Fierce Factor Lab. Everyone, please go check it out today. And I want to thank you again, Nicole, for coming to Savvy Business Radio.
Yay, thank you for having me. I so appreciate it.
Here's our interview with Darlene Tipton. Hi, Darlene. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm fine. I'm having a wonderful day here.
You bet you. And so am I. I'm so excited to be talking to you this beautiful, sunny Saturday afternoon. And we're going to talk about that. You've created a wonderful site to get people in touch with positivity, gratitude, and just connecting to compassion and really making it the center of their life through your wonderful website, amazingkarma.com. And I love this idea. We talked a little bit prior to the interview about how life can move so quickly that we get caught up in the minutiae of things and just focus on what's not working instead of how many blessings and gifts we have in our life at present. But before we go to share all of that, share a little bit about your journey and what caused you or brought you to create amazingkarma.com.
Well, amazingkarma.com is actually based on a game that we played with our children when they were growing up to teach them right from wrong. Mm-hmm. And our children were taught that if you do something good or kind, particularly if you're not asked to, say you set the table without being asked, that's a good thing. And the universe and mom is going to award you a positive karma point. If you continue to harass your sister, I guarantee you the universe is going to debit you a karma point. And then when a certain number of points were achieved, it's not a big reward. We're not taking you to Disney World, but I might buy the kind of cookies that Paul likes instead of the kind that Laura likes. And we also encourage them to tattle on their brothers and sisters when they found their brothers or sisters doing something good. And they'd get a point. If they tattled on them for doing something bad, they'd both lose a point. So it became a competition to who could do the most good stuff and get the most karma points. And it actually got kind of funny at times. they'd almost squabble over who could do the most good.
That's awesome. This reminds me, Darlene, I had a guest on 2 years ago who did a whole doctorate studies on gossip, believe it or not, and found that the original word for gossip was gossip or something like that. And it had to do with godparents, or when the people who would birth children into the world, what are they called? Doulas? I forget what they call them. But they would then go out and announce the great news that a baby was born. So the original meaning for gossip was to announce good news, not negative news, not bad things about people. And I thought,
funny. I did not know that.
Yeah, and neither did I. So she said, actually, the original meaning for gossip was to say good things about people, not bad things, to announce good news. And we've now used it to mean announcing negative things. How about we change the narrative and decide to use it for good? And I thought, wow, what a novel idea. How great would that be? Instead of talking negatively about your neighbor, your boss, your whatever, how about you say nice things about them and think of what can I say nice, or what happened that's great news, awesome news, instead of negative news?
Well, we're so bombarded with negative, particularly with the 24-hour news cycle. All we hear is bad, bad, bad. This bad thing happened. This bad person did this bad thing. And we've actually lost the habit of looking for good. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want people to do at AmazingKarma.com. We want them to start looking outside themselves for the small bits of goodness that are there all around you. Yes. Now, you're not necessarily going to run into somebody who's pulling somebody out of a burning car. Mm-hmm. But say you're at the supermarket and you see somebody just walk up and help somebody put their groceries in the car. That's a nice thing to do. Now, normally we just stand on the sidelines and smile and think, nice person. But mm-hmm. how often do we interact with that person to walk over and say, you did a good thing and I recognized it? Mm-hmm. And that's why we developed the karma cards. We have red karma cards and green karma cards. Say you walked over and you don't even have to say anything, just smile and offer that person a green karma card. They'll look at it. You feel good because you've found some good in the world. They feel terrific because somebody noticed them, and they are now encouraged not only to continue doing good, but to start looking for somebody else doing good so they can pass the card along. So it just starts a ball rolling, and then you can see how much good that one recognition of one good act has done.
Yes. I love this, Darlene, because I think in our present day life, we've gotten so entrenched in our modern technologies that we've stopped noticing, as you said, in our own life and around us, all the wonderful good going on. And what I like about the karma cards is they're actually physical cards that you're giving to someone. It's not like you're just sending a little text or a little tweet or icon to someone's phone. This is something you can hold in your hand and be like, oh, wow, I was just acknowledged for holding the door for someone. How cool is that someone noticed? And then now you're going to feel really good and pass that on, and maybe pass the same card to someone else, so that we keep like a ripple in a pond spreading the wonderful good karma.
And the fun thing about the AmazingKarma.com website is mm-hmm. you can track the progress that has happened because you recognize this one good act. Each card has a unique code on it. Now, when you get your cards and you register this card, I'm actually holding one in my hand right now, you get a positive karma point just for registering it. Then when you hand it to that person who held the door open, when they register it, they get a point, and so do you. When they pass it on to somebody, the points continue to accrue backwards. So they'll increase geometrically that way. And when enough karma points have been accumulated, you can ask us to do one of two things. We will turn those points into karma cash. That cash can be used either for any gift certificate from any retailer anywhere, or what we hope most people will do, and most people seem to like this idea, we will donate that cash in your name to any registered 501(c) charity on the planet. So the good just keeps paying back.
That's fabulous. And I've often heard it said, Darlene, that when you focus on what you focus on becomes your reality. And you mentioned earlier, when you turn on the TV or news or whatever, anything around you as far as media, it tends to often be really negative. So sometimes people come and say, oh, I saw this on the news. I'm like, turn off the television, step away from the television, put down the newspaper. And they're like, no, but we have to know the news. I'm like, you want to know the news? Talk to your neighbor. Because if it's really, really important, you'll know about it because everyone will know about it and they'll spread the word through sharing, verbally sharing what's really important instead of, I think it's been 20 years now that I haven't picked up a paper and turned on traditional news. And I always say, you want to hear something positive, turn on Savvy, but stay away. But stay away from anything negative because it ain't going to help your life. So I love that you mentioned this about charity and that we can just keep spreading the love. Now, and I've heard this mentioned that you had a difficult time in your life where you were fired after 25 years of working a job that you truly enjoyed. There are times where things might happen that are really, really awful in our life, whatever it might be, from a loss of a job to a death. How do you stay positive and get back on a positive karma, mode when you go through really difficult situations in your life?
Well, at AmazingKarma.com, we believe that karma is simply the non-religious concept of what goes around comes around. And good karma comes from doing the right thing. Now, karma always comes back to you. You may not recognize it. It may not come back exactly as you expect. In fact, it usually doesn't. But it always comes back in some effect. I don't know if you know the details of why I was fired, but they had tried to get rid of me before I turned 55 so they wouldn't have to pay me and vest me in certain benefits. But the president of one of the companies stepped in and said, you cannot fire her. Well, that put me on the boss's radar. So a few years later, I was trying to organize a charitable endeavor for the families of the people lost on Malaysia Flight 370. And just in a mental hiccup, I sent one email out on my company email instead of my private email. And, people use the company email all the time for personal reasons, but that was an aha, gotcha, and I was fired after 25 years.
Wow.
But karma did play a role in this. I sued them for wrongful termination and used the proceeds to set up the Amazing Karma website.
Woo! So what I like about that story, Darlene, is it shows that sometimes when awful things happen, opportunities that seem pretty drastic in our lives, it can be a turnaround for something greater in our lives that we don't even see yet or understand. That's exactly right. And as you said, most often you don't see it coming, but it comes back to you. Yeah. And share with our audience, you did a wonderful, you got multiple awards for a film you did, Heart of the Beholder. How did that come about? Tell us a little bit about the film. Heart of the Beholder is the true story of my husband's life a few years before we met. And he was a video dealer in St. Louis, Missouri. In fact, he was the very first video dealer in St. Louis, Missouri. And after kind of a rocky start, suddenly it took off. And he became wealthy. He had a chain of video stores, and he and his young family were living the American dream. Then an organization with the unfortunately oxymoronic name of the American Federation for Decency came into the picture. And there was a movie about years ago called The Last Temptation of Christ, big studio film, Martin Scorsese. Well, none of these decent people had seen it, but they were sure it was bad, and they were telling Ken, you have to take this movie out of your stores. They put enough pressure on the video dealers. Ken was the only video dealer in St. Louis that actually had it in stock. And he just said, no, people have a right to decide for themselves whether they want to see it. You are perfectly welcome not to watch it if you want. That was not the right answer. They started harassing his employees, vandalizing his equipment. His children got death threats. They had to send their children out of state to keep them safe. And eventually, through a series of weird blackmails, Ken was arrested in his own stores on trumped-up racketeering charges. He went through 2 very long, very expensive trials, both of which he won. But he was ruined financially. He lost his family. He nearly lost his life. Wow. But he did get a measure of karmic satisfaction. He did not get those things back, but he got something else. And I'm not going to give you the payoff on it because I want everybody to go watch it. It's available on Netflix and Amazon. Also, one thing we're very proud of, we were blessed with a wonderful cast, just the best cast. And they worked for a fraction of the SAG scale. I mean, we're talking people, Michael Dorn from Star Trek is in it. Wow. And
first day of shooting, he drove up in a car that cost more than our budget, and they were all working for SAG minimum scale. Our techs were working for a half to a third of their normal rate. And there's a little girl in the movie who plays Ken's daughter. She was the first kid we auditioned, 7 years old, blonde pigtails, just charming little girl. And she did her scene, which was a very difficult abduction scene. The hair on the back of my neck rose up, and our reader was shaking. And she said, "Scene, did I do good?" Oh. Yes. That little girl is Chloe Grace Moretz, who is possibly the hottest young actress in Hollywood, and we were her first film. She was just so talented, even at 7. I'm so proud of her. She's grown up beautifully.
Wow, that is just amazing. And what's amazing about that is it's that you stand by your, we hear about the word integrity thrown all over the place, and authenticity and all those wonderful words. But what does that mean when it comes down to the wire and you say you believe what you believe? Are you going to stand by what you believe, or are you going to back down? And so it's amazing that he stood by his belief no matter what, even when things got really tough, even at the extent of how everything turned out.
You have to. If you don't have integrity, if you can't give your word and keep it, you really have nothing. And part of making that film, people I think learned about us. Mm-hmm. At one point, trying to raise money to make the film, we ran a contest. We were pre-selling DVDs of the movie before it had even been made. And for every dollar spent or donated, we were giving away chances to win a role in the movie. We needed a jury anyway, so we were going to give away 12 roles. And running a legal contest in the United States is very difficult because the laws in all 50 states are different, but we conformed with the law, got it perfectly set up. Mm-hmm. But one of the rules of the contest were, if we did not raise $500,000 at the end of the 3-month contest period, we would return every cent.
Wow.
The end of the 3-month contest, we had $437,000 and change, and we spent the next month sending every penny back. Nobody believed we were going to do that, but we did. Wow. And then we went to some of these people and said, would you consider giving us a loan? And we found out that there are usury laws. You can't charge people high rates of interest, but there's no law against paying it. So we offered them 2 years guaranteed at 25% interest, compound interest. Mm-hmm. And if we could pay it off sooner, they would still get the 25% 2-year rate. Mm-hmm. If it was later, the clock would keep running on the 25%. Well, as it happened, the day after we finished shooting the movie, my mom died. Oh. I sold her house, and we paid back everybody early. They got their, and 25% per annum compounded daily actually works out to about 65%. So they got their money back plus 65%.
Wow.
And when I need to go back to them to finance my next movie, I think they'll trust me.
Yes. Really, what you're showing here is that if you do things the right way, you can be success.
Well, how much money does anybody really need? I mean, I've got a roof over my head. I've got food to eat.
Yeah.
I can feed my dogs. I don't need... Well, I don't need more stuff. I need to accumulate more good karma.
That's right. And keep the wonderful ripple going. Now, I hear you're also working on a wonderful new film. Share details about that.
Well, the film is actually, this one is going to be, we're not sure if it's a documentary or fiction yet because we're doing a lot of interviewing. It's about ageism in Hollywood, something I know personally.
Ooh. There
is actually a group of former workers in Hollywood, technicians, studio executives, behind-the-scenes people, who were doing wonderful, outstanding work until suddenly they hit about 54, 55, and then suddenly this wonderful, outstanding work was no longer wonderful and outstanding. How interesting is that? And they were let go for one reason or another. The group is actually called Survive 55 because a lot of people don't survive 55 in the entertainment industry. And the ageism is so rampant. There is a group at the Writers Guild of America for quote unquote older writers. You know how old you have to be to qualify for this group?
45.
35. 35 is an older writer in Hollywood.
Oh my gosh, that's
so yeah, we haven't quite decided whether it's going to be a documentary, or, as I said, or a feature film, it's something I'm very passionate about, and I want people to know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm sure many can relate. I've been in the corporate industry for 25 years now, and I'm near 50 years old. In your own experience, that anyone can do in whatever arena they're in, as far as getting older and being taken as just as much worth as someone younger. How would you suggest they present themselves or put themselves in the world so that they're not discriminated against?
Well, at least in Hollywood, which is the area I know, it is so rampant that the only way it's going to stop is not by the individuals. The individuals are still doing the excellent work they always did, but a light has to be shown on the system that allows it to happen and the individuals it happens to, and the fact that they're inevitably replaced by someone younger and cheaper who, to be fair, sometimes does a good job, but almost rarely does as good a job as the person who was let go. But they're definitely cheaper.
That's a good point. The cheaper. Yes. I have a gal friend of mine who's now looking for a job. She's well close to 60, but she has 40 years experience in the corporate arena, but she's not getting callbacks anymore. And the deal is, with 40 years experience, how do you compare someone right out of college with 40 years experience in that industry? You can't. There's no way. You've got a wealth of experience and wisdom that someone right out of college just does not have yet. But with that wealth of knowledge and experience, you pay for it. It's worth more than someone with no experience. What you pay sometimes is what you're going to get. And if you're going to pay cheap for cheap labor, you're going to get cheap results, not because the people are bad, but they just don't have the knowledge and the wisdom behind them yet.
Exactly right. Exactly right. In fact, one of the other businesses I own, I wear a lot of hats. I own a pooper scooper company in Missouri.
Love that.
And we pay our techs very, very well. I mean, just by picking up dog waste, they can earn $40,000-$50,000 a year working part-time. And I do that because, frankly, it's not a job a lot of people want. And I can give it to somebody cheaply, they'll do it cheaply. But I want to run a quality business that people respect and that we're the first ones they think of because we do the best job. And you do the best job by hiring the best people. And if you don't pay the best people, they'll find another job.
Yeah.
Well, that's just to bring it around again. That is what karma is all. If you're doing the right thing, if you're paying people what they're worth, if you're valuing them for who they are, that's good karma. If you are thinking of them as disposable as office furniture, you're going to get exactly what you pay for. And that's going to impact your business and it's going to impact your life. Bad karma.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want everyone to go out there and get some good karma today, so they can go to amazingkarma.com, right, and get started with their karma cards today?
Absolutely. In fact, all you have to do to get a set of karma cards is go and register for a free account and then just order your free karma cards. Not free plus shipping and handling, free. No money. We're picking up the shipping and handling for cards. We've shipped them free as far away as Australia and Sweden. And normally we ship out 40 karma cards, but if anybody mentions that they heard about us on your show, I'll give them 50% more. I'll give them 60 cards.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you, Darlene. This is fabulous.
We're going to continue giving them away free until we've got at least 500,000 out there in circulation. And we have over 100,000 out there now. So we really just want people to start looking for the good. And there is actually a corollary to this, because part of good karma is taking personal responsibility for your own actions and then owning your actions, making amends, and moving ahead. And that's actually what the red karma cards are about. We've become a very isolationist society, as you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And we see somebody doing something they shouldn't or just being rude. We don't go interact with them. We just don't want to get involved. We may shake our heads and frown, but we don't get involved. Now, the red karma card is a very gentle, non-confrontational way to just say, you shouldn't have done that thing, like parking in a handicapped space when you're not. And even the language is very gentle. It starts out, uh-oh. Literally, that's what's printed on the card. It's not you're a terrible person. It's just, uh-oh. You received this karma card for performing an act of unkindness, discourtesy, or dishonesty. But say you come out to your car and you've parked across, you're in a handicapped space and whatever, and I slipped one of these under your windshield wiper. If you look at this and say, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, and you take it to our website and you register this red karma card, that means you took responsibility for your actions. And you're going to get a positive karma point. We don't deduct karma points at all. If you're doing the right thing, you're going to get a positive karma point. And then you can hang on to the card to give it to the next jerk you run into.
Well, this is a great way. And I love that you mentioned that, because it's not just noticing good you do and the good others do, but becoming aware of your actions and others around you that you are not so nice. And it's interesting because I had someone on recently who's a comedian, and she said, we've become so politically correct. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? And politically correct means we don't call things as they are, and not to be mean about them, because she said there's no reason or need to be mean about things when you see things that are unethical, not nice, not compassionate, but just to say the truth.
Oh, exactly so. And if you have a moment, I have a really good story about one time when we handed somebody a red karma card.
Go for it. Yes, tell me.
My husband and I were going out to lunch at a local restaurant, and parked in front of the restaurant was this beautiful yellow car. I might have been a Ferrari, I don't know, from Cars. So, of course, my husband makes a beeline over, and the owner is about to get in and drive away, and my husband is effusively admiring this beautiful car, which I point out is parked across 1.5 parking spaces. So after engaging the gentleman in conversation, my husband said, you do know that you're parked rather badly here. He said, well, yeah, okay. He said, there are plenty of wide, shady spots in the back. I'm just wondering why you didn't take one of those. He said, well, it's a brand new car. I didn't want to get it scratched. Well, it wouldn't have gotten scratched in one of those big, wide, shady spots in the back. Well, I just didn't. Okay. Well, politely, very politely, I'm sorry, sir, I'm going to have to give you a red karma card. And he says, what's this? And he looks at it for a minute, and I'll clean this up. He said, oh, screw karma. And he flings it across the parking lot, gets in his car, drives away. Okay, these things happen. We go in, we order our lunch, and while we're waiting for it to be served, we see this unmistakable car drive back into the lot. And this time he parks in one of the wide, shady spots in the back. The gentleman gets on his hands and knees, and he's crawling around that parking lot looking under cars until he found that red karma card. And then he got in his car and drove away. That's the last we heard of him.
Wow. That is impactful. That is amazing. You might have just changed his whole perspective on not just that, but many other things in his life. That's fabulous.
It's possible. Just, the idea that I can get away with things if nobody notices, or I'm above, the normal what's right and wrong. No, we're not. None of us. Yeah. And we all do little things that we know we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But, somebody's going to notice.